This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Getting engaged can be stressful. Getting the right ring won't be at BlueNile.com. The jewelers at BlueNile.com have sparkle down to a science with beautiful lab-grown diamonds worthy of your most brilliant moments. Their lab-grown diamonds are independently graded and guaranteed identical to natural diamonds and ready to ship to your door. Get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code POD at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com, code POD for $50 off.
Welcome to the next episode of the Jungle Hockey Podcast presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm here as always with my co-host, Mr. Joe Kuchaslo, and with a very special guest today. We have with us Jereymi Longpre. He is the owner of the Fitness Lab in Mission, owner of Up North Athletics, and the host of the NorthStar podcast. Jereymi, how are you? I'm
good. How are you guys? That was dope intro there. You guys are pros at that. Mine's pretty simple, man. Mine's like, hey, welcome to episode 24 of the NorthStar podcast. There we go. That's my intro right there.
Well, usually we got like stats to read off from the guy, like his playing career and stuff like that.
You guys, I don't really have many stats, man, but I got some baseball stats, but that's pretty much it.
Aspect, so
yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's hear it. Let's get it.
Excited to hear. Well, okay. So one of my first questions, I guess, for you was, what's your background? Like, kind of how did you get into, obviously you're a pretty good trainer. How did you get into like the sports aspect of that, and kind of your background in? I know you played baseball. Mm-hmm. Your background in sports and like what it's done for you to shape your career now.
I think the biggest thing with the sport atmosphere for me was like being able to have the opportunity to play the sport and understand what it takes to also play at a high level. I think a lot of times, and I'm not saying that trainers that have never experienced that don't have the experience to be able to understand that, but like when you go through it and you have to train every single day and you're going to practices and you're playing games and you're like, you know what it feels like for the other guy that you're helping. So like when I'm helping an athlete, I know what they're going through. I understand what they're going through. It doesn't matter if you're playing hockey, baseball, basketball, whatever. Like you're going through a sport at the end of the day, and you're going to have to practice it and you have to get better at it. So I think for me, having that background really helps because I can relate to the athlete a little bit better too. Not every trainer has had that opportunity, and I still think there's amazing strength and conditioning coaches or sport coaches that can still help and do that, but I just find that being an athlete really has helped me to relate to the other athletes that I've been able to help too. So
okay, yeah, it's interesting because a lot of our trainers, I've had the experience as well, where these guys don't really know much, like for hockey at least, they don't really know much about the sport itself, and then we're just doing like some bodybuilding exercises that don't really apply to the sport. So it's interesting to hear that you can like kind of shape workouts around based on like kind of what sports like the athletes plan. So I really like that, especially what you guys are doing at the fitness lab there.
Yeah, it's like I think the biggest thing, man, at the end of the day is like it's not like we're doing also anything like that's not out there, right? I just think it's just more of the practice of being able to understand when someone comes in and they have a very specific goal. You're going to have to treat them a little bit different than if it's just an everyday kind of person going in, right? So it's like when you had said, you're doing bodybuilding kind of exercises, strength training, it's not that per se, quote unquote, that's going to be bad. Like I would say a trained athlete is better than an untrained athlete when you're doing your exercises, but there's a way also to you can approach it where you can have an athlete come in and be able to train them a little bit differently so that they're going to be better at their sport. But I always say, and I've heard this from many coaches too, it's like really the best way to get, like the best thing you can do to be better at your sport is just practice your sport. So like being on ice, shooting, doing all these things, like that's going to make you a better individual at your sport. But the strength training and all those other things are going to help you be able to become a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, and that's going to kind of improve your game as well. So
I agree with you.
Yeah, okay, well, I just kind of want to ask a little bit more about your baseball career itself. Like, was baseball the only sport you played, or how far did you go with it? What was just your whole kind of career playing experience like?
So, for me and baseball, since probably I was, I played baseball for a long time. I think 15 years I played.
Yeah.
I want to say. So, like, baseball is a little bit similar, like, to hockey, where, you have, I don't know what it's called nowadays, but, like, when I was growing up, it was, like, Pee-wee, Bantam, all that. Now it's, like, 15U. They don't even use all these names anymore.
Yeah.
So, when I was probably in about, I want to say, like, grade 7, grade 6 is when I started playing, like, you would say rep. So, like, whatever you play, rep hockey, rep baseball, right? So those few years like really led up to when I played for the Abbotsford Cardinals, which are, I would say, like it's the highest you can play in Canada pretty much, or in BC when it comes to baseball, like the highest league you can play.
PBL?
Yeah, PBL. Yeah. And then from there, I also at the same time was doing Yale Baseball Academy while playing with the Cardinals.
Okay.
So like I would like practice at school, and then I would go have a practice with the Cardinals. So like I was doubling up. But like that's the thing, like I don't think a lot of people understand that over that many periods of time, like it puts a lot on your body. Like when you have to do 4 or 5 hour practices plus a workout plus this, like it puts a lot on your body. I had a lot of injuries after, like at the end, kind of in grade 11 and 12, which really sucked. And then I ended up playing 2 years of college. My first year of college, a week before season, I tore my meniscus. So I missed that whole season. I was supposed to be a starter as a freshman, playing.
What position were you?
Outfield.
Outfield. Okay.
Yeah. So, and the thing with baseball, and like I guess is similar to hockey, is like once you kind of master a position, you stay at that position. It's not like you're going back from forward to defense and all that stuff, right? You're not going to go play goalie one game and just like hope for the best. So. Baseball a little bit, you can be more like what you call a utility guy, so you can kind of play like a little bit of everything, right? You can play a little bit infield, a little bit outfield. Like you're not the best at those, but you're good at them, so you can do it. So yeah, when it came to that, like that's my career of how far I went. Obviously the goal was always to play in the MLB. Like most guys are playing hockey, most guys that are an athlete, like that's your end goal at the end of the day. But and not to discourage anyone, but it's hard to get there. It's not. That's why it's not everyone does, right? So.
Did you have any buddies that made the jump, or?
Yeah, I have. I actually have a buddy. It's funny. I'm gonna do a podcast in a couple of weeks with a guy that I played. His name's Carter Lowen. He got drafted by the San Diego Padres. So
oh, wow, nice.
He's playing. I think he was playing Double-A this year. But like that's the thing with baseball. So like. If I say this and I'm wrong, just let me know. HL, that's like the league right before you go to NHL, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Like AAA, right?
Yeah, so for baseball, it goes low A, high A, Double-A, Triple-A, then the MLB.
Yeah.
So it's like, due to like a lot of guys will get drafted, they'll play like low A, and they're quote unquote still drafted, but they're still 4 leagues away until making like the show, and I'm just like it's crazy, man. Baseball is like nuts, and you have like 50 guys on a team. So it's just it's cool. It's cool how all these different sports all play kind of its part, but they pretty much have the same goal at the end of the day. So
yeah, I think baseball is definitely one of the hardest sports to climb the ladder and eventually make it up there.
Dude, it's a grind, man. Yeah. Well, it's just like you guys know Noah Juleson?
Yeah.
You guys heard the name,
yeah,
right?
Oh, of course.
I trained with him last summer.
Okay, cool.
I skated with him.
Yeah, like I know. Like last year, it was. I'm pretty sure last year was his year where he played the most NHL games that he's ever played. But like he was, again, like I know that he had a few injuries and stuff like that. But like same thing, he just going up and down, and that's really tough, man. You gotta like really be like wanting that as your goal, and you really want to like it's, and I know he's had a few injuries too, so it's one of those things, like being an athlete, I think a lot of times, it looks cool when you're watching it on TV and you're like, oh man, it must be like, you're getting paid millions of dollars, but it's like, dude, your careers are not usually that long. And second, like, it takes a lot on your body, man. There's a lot of sacrifice you got to make, so.
No doubt.
Some people don't even get that big contract, right? Like, at the end of the day, sometimes it might not even be worth it.
Yeah.
You get, in baseball, you don't get your big contract till you get a certain amount of years in the MLB, so it's like, the monetary value might not even be there for you if you get hurt.
Well, exactly, right? Like, you tear whatever, and you tear, like, baseball is like not knee, but elbow, knees too, actually, but, like, hockey, you would say, what, shoulders, concussions, probably, what else is pretty common injury?
Hips.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a few major hip ones, but, I mean, I think head injuries and, probably shoulders and knees as well, like ACL, MCL.
Okay. Why hips recently? Like, what's changed?
Well, for me, I'm a goalie.
Okay, so a little bit different.
So I'm always in my crouch, right? My hips are just in shambles, man.
There's just been a couple major players lately that have had like big hip surgeries. Like I believe that's what Jack Eichel went through, and a few years before Nicholas Backstrom did the same thing and never really ended up coming back. So it's just it might not be as common, but when it does happen, it's like one of the most detrimental.
What have you guys seen change in hockey in the last few years? I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. Like the game, how the game has changed.
I think the amount of skill that's coming up through the league. Like I was watching I don't know, I was scrolling through Instagram, whatever. I was watching some highlights from like 10 years ago, of like or 20 years ago of like the shootout, because the shootout's been around for 20 years, Owen.
Yeah.
And I was watching this first shootout that happened, and I was like, oh my god, like the skill level that has exponentially grown in the game for the last 20 years is just ridiculous. Like you got guys pulling off crazy moves. Like the Michigan isn't even that big of a deal anymore because of how I know. Do you know what that is, Jeremy?
No, I don't know. It's like a move. I'm guessing,
it's like the lacrosse goal when you scoop it up on your stick behind the net and then like throw it into the top like a lacrosse stick.
Well, we got to show you a clip of it. But basically, there's this move that was like the craziest thing. Like no one ever thought about doing it, and then now all of a sudden everyone's doing it. Like the skill level, the hands that these guys have is just nuts. And then also the sticks, like everyone can shoot, rip the puck now. Like it's way different. So
I actually, when I did the podcast with Gage, I was talking about his penalty goal. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, the one-hander on Campbell Arnold.
When he got it in Everett, and I was talking to him like did you, in the clip I was like, did you have that plan? He's like, he's actually talking to me about like he was just messing around in practice doing it, and then he's like like he just thought of it. He's like, you know what? I think he was mentioning too, he knew the goalie. He kind of knew like a little bit about him, and he's just like, I just tried it. Like I just in the moment, and I was like, dude, that's crazy, because like that blew up. I was like, that was a sick goal, and I'm like, that's just something that you don't even think of at the end of the day. It's just like super cool that you don't know what's going through the athlete's head when they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
I can't really relate to that because I'm the goalie. I got to read what's going on. So maybe ask Owen about that. Just coming up with a move on the spot there.
I think the Michigan is definitely the type of goal you might see Gage score one day. So yeah, like that seems like it's up his alley. But
cool, man.
Another thing that I think about the way the game has changed, like what Joe's talking about the skill, is kids are just so hockey obsessed these days because you kind of have to be to make it. With like the way they're training kids is drop every sport and just play hockey, and kids want to skate all day long, and they're working on their hands, they're working on their shot, they're working on all the clips and the highlights they see, but a lot of them are spending a little bit too much time on the ice and less doing off ice things, whereas I mean that's why you see the skill increase, but a lot of young guys are having a lot of major injuries early on because they're probably spending too much time on the ice and not enough off-season training. But as far as the skill jump, back in the day, you have guys who in the off-season don't touch the ice once. And you have guys smoking cigarettes and drinking beers in the dressing room. Like, that stuff doesn't fly anymore. Like, the way these guys treat themselves is top notch. So I think that's another big difference there as well.
Actually, you know what? I never actually mentioned this. This is kind of cool. My uncle was like a big hockey player. Played for the Medicine Hat Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
Got drafted. Played for the Chilliwack Chiefs, Chilliwack Bruins.
Would have been the Bruins back then, probably.
Yeah. So he went through it, but like, it's funny that you just said that, like how everyone. I've talked to my uncle, and like, so my uncle was apparently a player that was just like naturally skilled. Like,
yeah.
You just walk on, and like, I was like, what was your off season? He's like, oh, we played ball hockey.
Yeah.
And on the street. I was like, what? Like, that was your off season training? He's like, yeah, we didn't really like do much back then. And he's like, they wanted me to work out. They wanted me to like go do these things, and he's just like, I just didn't have the drive. Like, he just, so it's pretty funny that you said that, because it has changed a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
For me and Owen, it was well, actually, towards later in you got to choose kind of hockey or another sport later on in your career. But for me and Owen, I feel like we played baseball a lot. Like we played baseball together for almost as long as we played hockey together. Hey.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, I mean, we always just played like rep baseball in Mission and summer ball, but
that was the break from hockey.
Yeah.
That was the get outside and experience a different sport. Maybe, and it almost reignited my love for the game when the winter rolled around, because I was looking forward to playing hockey again.
Absolutely.
So, but nowadays it doesn't fly. Like, you gotta, if you want to, play at the highest level, you gotta, even 12, 13, 14 years old, you gotta quit the second sport. I also love baseball. Like, baseball was one of my favorite sports to play. Like, next to hockey, it was so much fun. But at some point you got to choose, right? And it was probably one of the toughest decisions that I've had to make. Choosing between baseball and hockey was pretty detrimental to me. Like, I tried to hold on for as long as possible, but at the end of the day, you got to choose the one that.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
The holiday season is now approaching, but at BlueNile.com, there's always something to celebrate. Whether you're looking for everyday elegance to elevate a casual outfit or a statement piece worthy of your biggest holiday looks, Blue Nile brings sparkle to any occasion. With some of the highest quality standards in the industry and jewelry experts on hand to answer any questions, you can be confident in your purchase. Right now, celebrate the season with 30% off at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
You find the most love for, and I guess I'm happy I chose it, because that's what I'm doing down here. Yeah, no, it's crazy how the game's changed. So.
Yeah, I think the big thing too is, like, when you're saying about investing your time, it's like, the risk to reward for doing it is like really high, because I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to put anyone down here, but like, not everyone's gonna make it. Okay, not everyone's gonna make the show. Not everyone's gonna like get to the NHL, all that kind of stuff. But the amount of time and investment that you got to think someone puts in just to get that contract is crazy, man. Like, it's the amount of hours and things that, like, and I see it, man. I see the kids that are like doing their in-season training and then they go off-season. It's like, it's yearly. It's not, there's no like break. If you maybe a week at the end of the summer, maybe, but even like talking to gauging them, it's like, they're back home for a bit. They obviously are doing some training still, but they're still doing something. They maybe some go golf or whatever, but yeah, man, it's nuts how everything is now. It's like very regimented, and but I think that's also why the game has become so much more like faster paced, and things like that, because there's so much more research and availability to do those kind of things now. So
I agree.
So when it comes to the end of your baseball career, so you played 2 years in college, you were hurt the 1 year. How do you transition from that into your fitness journey, becoming a trainer, and getting to where you are today, where you're the owner of your own gym and you have all these other things going on around your company and your brand?
Yeah, it's it's pretty cool, man. Like when I was in college, about 20, oh man, I gotta think here, 2017, 2016 roughly, is when I was in college. And the 2 years leading up before that, I was, we'd get introduced to working out. Like, so that was about almost 10 years ago. And there was still like good training and things like that, but it wasn't, I find like it's really evolved in the last 5 years, and a lot of people have really taken the step. And I see younger and younger kids nowadays starting lifting earlier. So like I see a lot of kids now starting at like 12. Like 12, 13 is when they start getting introduced to working out and like lifting and proper form and stuff. I was kind of introduced around like 16 to 18, so I still didn't have really a big foundation. But when I was in college was my first introduction to like true training, man. I was like, holy, like this is way different than what I've been used to. So that's also when I really fell in love with fitness, was in my first year of college. I had a really good strength and conditioning coach, and just how you felt after, and like just like also too like vanity wise, how you look, like everything was just like you just felt better as a human. And I think that really stuck with me, because I kind of took it as, okay, if I can feel like this and I've also felt the opposite of this, how many other people are going through this in life? Like how many people are not kind of, I guess, at their full potential? Like, I know how good it feels to feel like this, so I want to help other people feel like that as well.
Yeah.
So that was a really big pivotal moment. When I decided to stop playing baseball, man, that was it was like a hard 6 months, man. Like, I went back to like, I was working 3-4 jobs at the time. I was working at the movie theater. I was working at a corn maze. I was working at a supplement store. I was working, dude, I like all these different jobs because I didn't know what to do with myself, man. When you're like, you're living and breathing your sport every single day, and that's all you're doing all day. Do you know how much time I felt like I had? I was like, what am I doing? Like, I was just like, I'm just going to work and make money at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Owen is kind of in that. Do you kind of feel that a little bit, Ellie? Because you're done. You finished playing hockey, obviously. You're 20, 21 now.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like you're in that kind of zone right now? Or, like, how's it going?
I mean, a little bit. I think that I've done a good enough job at staying kind of connected with the game that I felt okay. Like, I mean, realistically, like, I'm not, like, dying inside wishing I was playing hockey right now. I'm pretty happy that I have some time for school and some time for other things. So I think I just had a pretty good transition, and I think, honestly, this has probably helped with that quite a bit, too. But, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a passion project.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, like, the big thing about it is and I think a lot of athletes go through this, because, like I said, when you're doing it every single day and you're doing it for multiple hours, and like all you're really doing is playing and then resting and then playing and then resting and eating and working out or whatever, when you switch that, you kind of have to almost find a new identity in a way, right? Because you kind of identify more as like, I'm an athlete, I play hockey, I play baseball, I do these things. So it's a really big shift, and it's a really big mental thing. So yeah, for that period of time, I was trying to kind of like, what do I do? Like, I didn't like school, man. The only reason I went to college was because I wanted to play baseball. I didn't go there to really like. I had to do courses to be able to play.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, man, the shift was, I was like, oh, like fitness is something I really like, and so I got my, I did my certification stuff like about 6 months after that, and was just like, let's do it and let's see what happens. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, I'm lucky enough to play for another 4 years here, college hockey. But after that's over, like, kind of dreading a little bit what it's going to be like without having that in my life. So just thought I'd ask that.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was good.
You know, Owen, I remember my first hockey game. The excitement of watching hockey live. The chill of the ice and the slam of a full NHL hockey player slamming against the boards. It was just nothing like it. I remember me and you going to the outdoor game at the Heritage Classic in Vancouver there. I also remember, Brock Besser almost tearing the roof off the building when if he would have scored a third goal to get a hat trick. We watched the Canucks win a couple times, which was pretty sweet. Well, I want to introduce you to a ticketing service called Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes it getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. My personal experience, I was just looking at the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Broncos this Sunday. They had a whole bunch going on, but I love how they sort all your tickets into the deals called Super, and then they even have the cheapest tickets or whatever you need. This app really surprised me by showing me, they had this one seats for like $120 off. It was pretty insane, and it weren't upper bowl either. There was like in the middle by the sideline. It was pretty sweet. Customize your spot. Game Time Picks curation makes it easier to save on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. All in pricing. Toggling this feature allows total upfront, no surprise fees at checkout. You can even get your seat view with a panoramic view from the seat and the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, or Game Time, will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Joe, you know what the most exciting thing about Black Friday and Cyber Monday is? Getting to cash in on an amazing deal that you wouldn't normally get. Except with Raycon. Because with Raycon, you can get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. But that doesn't mean they're not having any sales for Black Friday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering viewers up to 30% off site-wide. A Black Friday deal you'll appreciate every day? Raycon's everyday earbuds, especially if you haven't checked out their latest model, which includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must-have for any audio lover. For example, they now feature a 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity that lets you pair with 2 devices at once. Raycon's everyday earbuds also come with active noise cancellation. It's a feature that's a must-have for me on long flights, long road trips up to the cabin. Maybe you got a long bus ride to your next game, but one that can be difficult to find at an accessible price point. Because that's another thing. Although Raycon's quality rivals some of the biggest names in premium audio, Raycons start at just half the price as the other guys. So they're already an incredible deal, even before you factor in their Black Friday offer of up to 30% off site-wide. You know, what really amazes me about these Raycon everyday earbuds, along with the price and the quality itself, they're super versatile. That multi-point connectivity is amazing. So Raycon's everyday earbuds are also available in a variety of vibrant colors, so you don't have to just have the standard issue white or black earbuds sticking out of your ears. For me personally, I think a blue pair of some Raycons would be pretty nice, or maybe some green, jungle hockey themed ones. Now's the perfect time to scoop them up if you haven't already. And don't worry, if you're not as impressed as I am, Raycon offers a 30-day happiness guarantee, so you really can't lose. It's time to save big for Black Friday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN.
How'd you first get in then with the fitness lab and with Vic, and how has obviously that grown? I mean, you've obviously grown exponentially from there, and you're still part of the fitness lab, and a lot of the guys you've trained for years throughout there, but you've grown a lot since then too. So how did that all start and come to be?
You know what's funny is I actually already told this story this morning too, with someone I was talking to. So I was so how it works with personal training and things like that is there's so many different avenues you can go with it. I could have done it online. I could have done it I did it in person, but I decided to go in person just because I felt like I wanted more hands-on kind of stuff. So I'm in there, and at the time Vic had someone who was also teaching classes that she was also going to be taking her personal training like certificate at the same time, and he had told her, he was like, if you see anyone there that would be a good fit, you think, like, recommend them. Okay, so, and me and this lady, we just, we were talking and things like that. We kind of became friends, and she was talking to me about the fitness lab. I had never heard of the fitness lab at the time. I always lived in Abbotsford. I never heard of the fitness lab ever. So when she said, yeah, you should go check it out, I was like, okay, like, and at this time too, I was bodybuilding, like splits, like I didn't know any of this kind of training that I was walking into. And I remember going to the fitness lab and meeting Vic for the first time, and he was like, yeah, this is like what we do. And I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool, like, but then there was like no machines there, so I was like, well, like, what do I, like, I don't know how to work, I don't know how to train someone without a machine, like, that's all I do. So I started doing youth camps. That was my first thing. Like, I started training youth and like learning how to do that and like helping them. And I remember as I'm working, like, Vic's showing me like different exercises. He shows me a curl press, like just normal curl press. I was blown away. I was like, what do you mean adding two exercises together? I was like, I just know how to do a shoulder press or a curl, not together. Like, this is so much more time efficient. So like just stuff like that, man. Like, that's a funny story that me and Vic still talk to this day. Like, where he like tells people, like, when I came in and I was just blown away, like, that you could do two exercises in one. So yeah, it's been a ride. I've been there. I'm gonna be there now. Oh man, 20. So maybe like 8. It's been like 8 years now. We're gonna be.
Well, dude, I was gonna say, I remember the first time in minor hockey with Mission that we went and saw Vic.
Yeah.
It was like hockey specific fitness lab training.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was back in the day. That was when it was only, you guys didn't even have the unit beside.
Yeah.
It was just the one unit. It was a long, skinny, basically, room with the grass on it. So that was like a lot. That must have been, was that Bantam, Owen?
Yeah, that was first year Bantam for us, so we would have been 14.
It would have been 2015. So
7 years ago.
Yeah, I got there 2017.
Okay.
So 2015 would be the opening year. So we're actually hitting our 10 years next year.
Oh, nice.
January.
Nice.
January's our 10 years. So so 2015, 2016 were the main, like, where it was at that one side, like you guys talk about. And then I know I hadn't even seen it like that. So I got in when, I think I had gone in maybe, Vic was saying, like, a couple months after that he had brought the wall down and he had the two sides now.
Right, okay.
So that's when I had come in. But since then is like 2017, 2018 is since I've been there. So but yeah, it'll be cool, man. It's 10 years is a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
So we were just talking about it the other day too, so.
Well, I think that year that you started was actually like the same year that I started going to those like youth hockey ones after school with like Abram, and then eventually in the summer you have guys like Gage, Bailey, and a lot of other hockey players. So how crazy is it going from starting off doing the kids camps to now you're training? I mean, you've seen Gage wearing a Nikita Kucherov shirt while training to now playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So how crazy is that, like, growth between like the people you train, like who are maybe some of like the guys in the off season that are like the highest profile there?
It's you know what, man, it's like, and I gotta, like, I only trained these guys a handful of times, but like Vic is like the man. I gotta tell, like, he's the guy who's like done the most with them, so I want to make sure that's very clear too. I don't want to take any of that kind of
no
like
worries.
he like, I've maybe filled in and things, like, obviously I'm also too more, like, I like to do more of the nutrition stuff. There has been times when I have trained, but the thing that's really cool to see is that I have a funny story with Bailey too, is when Bailey was playing for the Giants, kind of coming up, he was getting he had an injury, and at the time Bailey didn't even work for any of the fitness labs. So he was he was a player.
Yeah.
So I remember I had met Bailey and we had sat down. I talked to him about nutrition, and he's like, and we talk about, and he was like following whatever and all these different things. And then a few years later, now he's working there. Now he part owns the Abbotsford location. Like it's cool to see all these things. Same with Gage. Like I knew of Gage because Vic had chatted about him before, and then I had met him, and I had talked to him a little bit about nutrition and things like that. And over the years, it's just cool to see all these guys, even if they don't play anymore, or they're just doing their thing. Like it's just cool to see how much growth that they had, not just as an athlete but as a person too. Like when you're younger, you're kind of a little shit, so it's kind of cool to see like these guys grow up like and not be little shits anymore, like actually an adult, and like you can have a conversation with them and they don't give you attitude anymore, and they actually kind of look up, like they respect you a little bit more. That's always cool to see too. So that's been fun about teaching youth, and now being able to kind of see where all these guys are at. So
do you train any sports other than hockey? Like do you train like baseball players or any other sports? I
actually, I've transferred a little bit of. I don't do as much hockey when it comes to it because, especially first timing, but also too like how Vix has adapted his training with hockey and stuff like that is like I just feel more confident being able to like, hey, if there's anyone that ever wants to train hockey, I'm like just go see Vic and their programs and stuff like that. Like I said, I'll sometimes fill in with that, but I actually do like doing training baseball. I have a kid now, he's 12 years old, and this summer he just came off of winning provincials and winning nationals for the team. So like, and he's 12 years old. Like it's really cool to see because a lot has changed even for so you throw an 11-year-old and you throw him some weights, like he's gonna obviously change and adapt, right? Obviously we're doing different things that to introduce to get more of a foundation, but that's been cool. But I also do, what, man, I really like helping average day people too. Like athletes are cool and all, and it's fun, but training everyday people, man, it's like it's a lot of times there's more almost maybe more of a challenge. Athletes are very regimented, like they know they have to, that's their part of their job. They're a lot of people like come we're like you have an average day person, man, it's not that they have to, but it's kind of a hard, they know they should do it, but a lot of it's like there's not a underlying contract that's based off of their health. It's not there's not something that's riding on it. So trying to encourage people to do that, and that's also been really fun for me, is doing that kind of stuff too. So
Jeremy, I think I don't have anything else written down here, but Owen, you got anything left?
So I just, one thing, obviously you've been doing this for quite a long time now. You've grown a lot with it, like your brand and everything. What advice would you have for a trainer starting out, and as well as for people who are starting their fitness journey? So advice for people on both ends of that.
I like that question. Okay, so trainer. I think the biggest thing with trainers, man, is that just be like relatable to people. Obviously you need to know what you're doing. you need to know how to like show form and stuff, but I think there's so many trainers that try to become so good at like perfecting form to a T, to like, and that's all they worry about, and they more worry so much about the education. But then when you get someone in person and then you have to spend an hour with them and you feel awkward with them and they feel awkward with you, they're not going to come back to you. Like, these people are, the thing with training people is like, I will see someone more than they will see their best friends in a week. And I take that in, like really think of that for a sec.
That's crazy.
I am literally, because like, I don't go see my buddies every week for 3 hours a week, right? Sometimes I'm seeing someone for 3 hours in a week, and sometimes you don't even see your family that much, right? Like you if you live by yourself, you're not maybe going to go see your parents every week. You don't see your extended family. So I have to be someone that when they come in, they actually want to see me. If they don't want to see me as an individual, they don't want to see me like as a person that just makes them like smile when they come in, they're not going to come back. So advice for a trainer, just be relatable, man. Like obviously know what you're doing, but try to relate to people, try to ask them questions, try to be their friend. Like a lot of people just want that at the end of the day. And then you had mentioned somebody starting out their journey. I think a lot of people too, when it comes to starting their journey, they like want to do everything right away. So it's like, do the exercise, do the diet, do this, it's just so much. It's like super overwhelming. It's like if you go from eating fast food and not moving at all and, not strength training at all and not doing anything to like trying to go to the other extreme, it's going to be too overwhelming for you. So I always try to like just implement things. So add things. So instead of taking away things, add something into your diet, add something into your routine. So if that's, adding a strength training workout, adding 5,000 more steps a day, adding.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
The holiday season is now approaching, but at BlueNile.com, there's always something to celebrate. Whether you're looking for everyday elegance to elevate a casual outfit or a statement piece worthy of your biggest holiday looks, Blue Nile brings sparkle to any occasion. With some of the highest quality standards in the industry and jewelry experts on hand to answer any questions, you can be confident in your purchase. Right now, celebrate the season with 30% off at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
More fruit, veggies, and protein in your day. So like taking that mindset instead of taking the mindset of let's try to eliminate everything out of our diet, let's try to add some things to actually improve our day-to-day function. So
yeah, so little things add up, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, and then sorry.
No, you go on.
Okay. I was just going to say the final thing I have here is you've been saying over the past 5 years there's been a lot of changes and trends, and then so one thing I wanted to ask about is I feel like especially in the fitness world, like you've said, there's been so many new like trends that have been like, especially like to do with recovery, like ice baths, saunas, that type of thing. Not just that, but that's been one of the main ones. So how has that kind of changed maybe your training as well as the way you approach training other people?
Yeah, no. I mean, before I ask this question, what's your guys' time right now? Do you guys have to go anywhere?
I'm okay.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm going to ask you guys a few questions after, too.
Yeah, cool,
I'm going to put you guys on the hot seat.
No, that's all good, man. 100%.
So, going to training modality. So, I think the biggest thing, man, in the last 5 years is I think a lot of things are also being debunked, and a lot of people are kind of cutting out the BS. Like, there's still a lot of... Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot that needs to be done and changed, and there's a lot of misinformation still. But I think there's a lot more people getting on the wagon of trying to reduce the misinformation, right?
Okay, yeah.
So when it comes to that, I think that's a really big shift. When it comes to like the cold plunges, the saunas, the things like that, I think a lot of it has a lot of hype at first. Don't get me wrong. I think these are very beneficial things, but I think sometimes when we're sold something super quote unquote sexy. So what I mean by that is like, you're not going to worry about the strength training or the nutrition or that, but, I'm going to make sure I'm going to hit my cold plunge in my sauna, but whatever about the nutrition and the strength, because it's boring, man. Like it is at the end of the day. It's mundane, it's boring, and you just got to be consistent with it. And, it's really easy to sell a really cool idea. And dude, it's really hard to sell to eat your fruits, veggies, and protein. Like that doesn't sound cool to do.
Right.
But like in all honesty, that's what you need to start with. And you need to start by doing some strength training. You need to start by going for walks. Like those are things that are going to help you, but it's not something that's super like cool and trendy. So, and I think too, at the end of the day, it's trying to get to that point where you can like get out the fluff and you can see those other things, but also too, like, if you have the means of income to do the other things and you have the time, like, cool, try it out, see if it works for you, because, you know, it might not work for someone, it might work for someone else, right? So
I was going to say that's almost the effect of social media. Like, you see these videos and people pushing these random supplements or whatever, but really it's just I feel like some of the people that break it down and make it super easy to understand are the most popular influencers, and they make it so the average person can, you know, cut some weight by going to a calorie deficit, or, you know, do simple things that just give simple advice. Whereas sometimes on social media you see, like, I don't know, some people doing a crazy cold plunge with, like, in like the middle of nowhere I swear there's this guy from Winnipeg that he did a cold plunge every single day, and he was outside. There's just piles of snow, and he's just sitting out there in a fucking cold tub. And, like, I just see his videos have so many views, but yeah, it makes sense. I like the keeping it simple more so than overcomplicating things and making it easy for the average person to get after it.
Yeah, and it, like, at the end of the day, man, it really shows, like, what kind of person you are too, because if you're constantly always trying to sell a trend, are you really trying to help someone at the end of the day? I'm not saying that that's what somebody's not doing, but, like, you kind of have to see, like, if you see always someone trying to jump from one thing to the other and they're never being consistent with one thing, it's kind of like, are you actually, like, what's your message here? Like, what are you telling someone at the end of the day? So I think having, you know, something that you believe in is important, but I also too know that it's hard to sell the idea of, you know, those simple things. Like, I know it because I live it. It's you know, I see it all the time. I see, you know, coaches selling the new next crazy diet that's gonna burn 100 pounds of fat off your body and melt you away in 1 month. Like, I see that stuff and I'm like, okay, I know this isn't true, but to the average eye, when you see that, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I can lose 100 pounds, like, of body fat, and I'll be, like, feeling amazing, right? It's easier to sell than something like, hey, you know, it's gonna take you 6 months, and I need you to eat your fruits, veggies, and protein, and make sure you strength train for the next 6 months, and then you'll get to maybe like 20 or 30 pounds gone. Like, to someone that's like, well, that sucks. Like, that sounds boring. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what works. So, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, yeah.
All right, Owen, the quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck dropping on the 2024-2025 season. Get in on all the action at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple, like picking a team to win. Just go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bets. You know, I was looking at the lines. Of course, the Canucks are favored, minus 205 against the Flames, because the Flames are, you know, they're the Flames. So, you know, bet maybe take that one. Or we also got, you know, the Oil. Or we could bet the Canucks to win the Stanley Cup as well, plus 1,800. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
Okay, my questions. I'm gonna hot seat you guys. So I want to know why you guys started this podcast. I know you guys play hockey. That's I understand that, but like, why this? Like, why a podcast? Why did you get into it?
You want me to?
It was Owen's idea, and Owen just texted me one day. He's like, "Hey, you want to start a podcast?" I'm like, "Sure, fuck it. It sounds like fun."
Yeah,
that's pretty much the origin story of what. And then I remember brainstorming for names and stuff. We were like talking about what we're gonna cover, and we were like talking about, because they call they call the local junior league, like the junior B league that me and Owen played in, they call it the Jungle. So that's kind of the origin of the podcast name as well.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I think it was more so of like a passion project like we touched on earlier.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, for me, like I kind of mentioned earlier, a way for me to stay connected to the game. And I mean, it sounds silly, but like give back a bit. I mean, I played in that league for 5 years and nobody talks about it. Nobody covers it. Their own social media page doesn't even like post scores. Like, so, well, sorry, just for the one league, not all of them. But anyways, you know, I just really think that those leagues have potential, and with some more exposure, there's a market for it, and a market that's not being fulfilled right now. So I just saw it as a way to cover like a bit more of a niche subject, as well as cover all the main hockey leagues and all that stuff, but something that we're passionate about and a lot of other people are passionate about, but don't really have a lot of sources for. And I think it's cool for people to get to see interviews with junior players from all over the province and hopefully in the future all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys going to try to, like, have you guys had any NHL guys, like WHL guys? Like, what's kind of your...
We're kind of working our way up to that, I feel like. I have a couple connections, like a couple good connections. We're slowly... I think we've talked about getting some higher... Like, not that the guys that we've had on haven't been, like, amazing. Like, I feel like all of our interviews have gone, like, extremely well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, if we have a couple connections with a couple pro guys, a couple college, like, D1 athletes. But I feel like we need to... We're growing a little bit right now, so we need to get to a certain point before we, pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, like, I didn't want to start shooting NHL prospects DMs before we've even posted an episode, right? Like, so we have we've asked a couple guys to like consider it for the future, and at least the guys that I've talked to have sounded really excited for it. But I think pretty soon is the goal. But again, the hockey season's just kind of starting too, so it's a busy time for all these guys. So I also want to give that time. So I think, I don't know, we're on we just posted episode 11, so maybe after 15, closer to 20, hopefully we'll start leveling up a bit, but we're never going to stop interviewing the local junior players either. And we also want to try and interview some international hockey players in kind of random countries that you wouldn't expect play hockey, and get their perspectives and stories, and just try and grow the game as a whole everywhere in the world we can.
Yeah, that's cool. Is there a guest that you guys really want to have? Like, have you guys ever decided, like, there's one player that you've always wanted to have?
Like an NHL player?
Yeah, anyway, if you could have any hockey player to be on your podcast, what...
For Owen, it'd be Sid the Kid.
Well, yeah, obviously Crosby, but let's go. I'll go with Paul Bissonnette from Spit and Chicklets. And, like, I think having him on would be his stories are just, like, I'm a big fan of that podcast and him, so I think that would be amazing.
I would love to have... This is more of a serious one, but I would love to have Carey Price on.
That would be... Well, he's a BC guy.
Yeah, he's a BC guy. He's been through it all. Like, he's been through literally everything. So yeah. I think he would be an unreal podcast guest.
That's a great one.
I think he does that stuff.
That's a great one, though. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, guys, you just got to ask. Like,
totally.
That's been my biggest thing is what I was saying, I was like episode 24, and I do a little bit different, obviously, than you guys. My kind of, how I do it is, like, I go more mobile. So it's like, I'll go to someone's house.
Yeah.
And we'll have everything set up. Like, I'll literally sit in their living room with them and, like, have a conversation. Like, yeah. I've never been to their house before. But, like, that just leads it. And I think what you guys do is good, because if you have them in a place where they feel already comfortable in, like, it's going to set a better tone for the interview too. But, I think my biggest thing that I've learned with it is, like, the worst thing they say is no.
Yeah,
right? Like,
100%.
Like, the worst thing they say is, like, no, or, like, and honestly, at the end of the day, I don't even take offense to it. It's like, hey, you're busy, whatever. And you just go on to the next. And, what's funny, man, is, like, sometimes they'll say no, but then they'll want to come on later. Because now they've seen, like, they've seen more growth. They've seen more.
I've had that.
Yeah. Where it's like, I don't know, but it's like, because two people want to go on to something that's like that somebody's actually serious about. Like, if I got on asked on to go in like an interview and like maybe it's their first episode, that'd be cool too. But like, let's say you just know like they haven't done really much in a while, and it's kind of like, are these guys serious about it? Are they not? Like, you don't know, right? So I think it's a time thing for people too, right? Mm-hmm. So the best ways you can do it is like reduce someone's. The easier you can make it for someone, the less barriers you can create someone, the easier it is to like get them on for sure. So.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I'll go. What do we got here? We're like, okay, cool. What's your end vision with this podcast? Do you have one? Do you have a?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
do you just want to keep interviewing people? Do you want to get sponsors? What do you want to do?
Well, we have a couple just sponsors right now. Just early on, just a couple advertisements and whatnot, but. I think at the end of the day, our goal is to just go as far as we possibly can with it. Like we've been really consistent. We've both been really dialed into it, really excited about growing it, and it's been growing consistently. Yeah. So I think worst case scenario, it's a foot.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Getting engaged can be stressful. Getting the right ring won't be at BlueNile.com. The jewelers at BlueNile.com have sparkle down to a science with beautiful lab-grown diamonds worthy of your most brilliant moments. Their lab-grown diamonds are independently graded and guaranteed identical to natural diamonds and ready to ship to your door. Get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code POD at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com, code POD for $50 off.
In the door a little bit to the business or media side of hockey. I think that's probably, at the end of the day, I can't really imagine myself working in a field that wasn't related to sports, and I don't care too much about how I get in there as long as I get to work in that field. So it's definitely a passion project. It's definitely keeping us connected with the game, and we are doing it to grow the game and just have fun. But at the end of the day, yeah, like, I think a foot in the door or just building connections in the media world.
Cool. Yeah, Owen was mentioning sports media and stuff. It's just like kind of, getting your foot in the door a little bit. And for me, it's just more just having fun with it. Like I enjoy talking with, Owen's been my best friend for probably 15 years.
Yeah.
We've known each other since we were 5. So.
Maybe even a bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we don't talk every week, whatever. But now that I'm far away, it kind of gives us a time to get together and kind of sit down and work on something together, which is pretty sweet as well.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that was another big aspect of it. But
you had mentioned advertisement. What have you guys done? Like, how did you guys get those?
So we had a company message us on Instagram after our first couple episodes called the Hockey Podcast Network, and they've been amazing with us so far. So they basically just reached out and asked if we wanted to kind of be a part of their team, and set up a DraftKings and a BetterHelp sponsor.
Oh, cool.
And so there's ad reads every episode, and then they've help us out with any issues we have or pretty much anything we need. We can go to them, and they've been awesome so far and help a lot with exposure and promoting us on social media too.
Cool.
Giving us a couple sweet assets, like helping us with because we got to use the special recording software. They helped us with that, and they've also helped us with like the photo editing aspect of it and
cool.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty solid partnership so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, no, I haven't done any really anything crazy when it comes to that stuff personally. I'm just always interested to kind of hear. Like, I usually just will call someone or text someone or whatever and say, hey, I'll come to a podcast. When does it work for you? And I think the cool thing about social media too and Instagram is if you can have the person that you had on your podcast also share it or like be collaborated with them. So then it goes on their page too. Some people don't like to post, which is what it is. But even if they get to share it or they share it with their friends, like a lot of it is word of mouth at the end of the day. Like,
Totally.
Exposure, obviously, you got to be posting consistently and showing that you're actually doing these things. But I think exposure is really huge. So
Yeah, I think. Sorry.
The hockey teams, like if we interview a guy from a certain team, then the team will repost it on their story, and then the team usually has a couple thousand followers, and we'll gain like 5 or 10, maybe 20 followers from a certain post. So that I agree, it definitely helps.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, how do you guys do your? Do you guys have like a finisher? Like, what is your?
Not really. I mean, we just kind of just thank you so much for your time and for doing this with us and this whole setup, everything. This has been amazing. It's been a really cool experience. So just
yeah. No, sure. I think it's. I wanted you guys to like try something different. Like I know, like when we initially were chatting about doing it, I was kind of like, what would be cool is if we did like a little bit of a collab where you guys can. I know obviously you're at home, and I mean not at home, but you're away, but. Yeah, but like get in a studio and kind of see like, because I think it would be cool for you guys too. Like you probably, I'm guessing too, like eventually want to maybe have like a little place if somebody comes out or whatever where you can have some people and kind of do a little podcast too, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I always try to like do these opportunities, and this is kind of what I've been trying to do since I've started my episodes too. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's cool. I'm happy it worked out actually. So.
I want to come see the crib, man. I gotta come in there and maybe get another episode in.
Yeah. So this is like, this is not actually even my place, man. This is the guys I work with, Graham and Calvin. They're awesome. They help me with all my stuff, and this is Calvin's place here, and he has a little setup. And like I said, I actually don't usually do stuff here. Like this is kind of a, I've maybe done it a few times. We usually try to go mobile with people. That's just like my niche is like so I've gone to like North Vancouver, man. Like somebody who lives in North Vancouver, they're not going to want to come all the way to Mission just to do an hour podcast.
Of course, yeah.
So if I can go drive out to them, go do the podcast for an hour and a half, they're still in North Vancouver, they can do whatever they need to do. And I have like some business owners, man, that like I've been pushing, man. I'm like, hey, like when's their podcast? Like some pretty bigger names that are a little bit busier to do. So. I've done them in restaurants. I've done them in people's houses. I've done them in clinics. I've done them in, like you name it, man. I've done in a lot in different places. So it's pretty cool like that too. So
that's awesome. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for everything. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. I can't wait to come see you. Like you said, I can't wait to come see you, and maybe we'll link up again when I'm back in person. Maybe.
Yeah. When do you come back?
December, I think my flight's on December 13th.
And how long are you here for then? Okay.
Oh, okay. And then you go back to school? Or I mean, not back to school, but back to playing?
Back for second semester.
Yeah.
In, I think it's January 6th or something.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got a little bit of a chunk there. So we'll sort something out.
Yeah, usually December too, and like winter, man, things kind of slow down for fitness too, and like I think everyone just slows down obviously with the holidays, right? So but yeah,
hockey's in full swing, so it'll be a busy time
for the podcast.
Yeah, you guys gonna have to and because you guys are guys, then do guys come back home for the vacation, like for the holidays usually, or they're playing full season?
It kind of depends on the level they're at, and the length of time they stay also depends on the level they're at or where they're playing.
I think I got an 8-day break when I was in junior.
Yeah.
I think, I was back for about 8 days for Christmas, and like I had to leave on Boxing Day, like the day after. So some breaks are definitely shorter than others.
Cool. Well, guys, I appreciate your guys' time too, and I'm glad this is actually my first collab podcast.
Oh, sweet. Well, us too. So.
Yeah. So this is like I've actually taken the idea once we chatted about it. I'm gonna try to set up another one too with someone else that I know too. So
nice.
Yeah, I think it's just like I think it's cool, man. Like if you can build each other's brands, like why not, right? At the end
Totally.
of the day, like it's not going to hurt me doing and helping out someone else, and your audience will see it, my audience will see it, everyone kind of benefits from it, so it's really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm Trevor Sikkema, host of the PFF NFL show, here to tell you what you can find on all of our shows throughout the week. On Mondays, we have the Grade Release Show, where myself and Dalton Wasserman break down every single game that you just saw in the NFL. On Tuesdays, we have the In the Trenches show with Ollie Conley, as well as the Quarterback Breakdown with Seth Galina. On Wednesdays, we've got the Rookie Review with John Ledyard and the preview for the upcoming week in the NFL with Carmen Vitale. We also have fantastic fantasy football shows, betting shows, and college shows as well. So make sure you are subscribed to the PFF NFL show wherever you get your podcasts.